Guys, if you want to be able to fix your flip and start compressing your irons, you need to learn how to get through the ball with your hands staying left of the club head. Okay, I'm going to show you that in today's video, what I did with a recent student of mine. I want to define what flipping actually means. I want to talk about the 3 big reasons why it happens and how we could solve all that with one really cool drill. Let's dive right in. All right, guys, before I show you the drill that you can use to compress your irons and the drill that I gave to my student just the other day, who had told me he had been struggling with too much flipping motion and lack of compression for 10 years, and we fixed it within 10 minutes. Okay, and we were able to do that because we solved the correct root issues and had an applicable drill to be able to help him do that, okay? Now, when I say fix in 10 minutes, I mean look really good, full speed on camera. You got to practice to own it. But if you're struggling with compression, it can work for you and work for you pretty quickly. Now, let's define what a flipping motion is. Let's also talk about the 3 big things that cause the flipping motion, and then we'll dive into the drill and some variations. Anytime we make a swing, there's a correlation between where the butt of the club, or our hands are, and where the club head is. When we take our setup position, this video is about the irons, the hands are preset slightly forward or in front of the club head, to the left of them, towards the target. Now that same relationship stays all the way during the backswing. In fact, the club head's gonna get farther and farther and farther behind my hands, to the right of them, behind my hands, all throughout the backswing. Would you agree? As we shift to this side, all throughout the top of the backswing, all throughout the downswing, club head is way behind my hands, right? Now, at some point in time, let's say kind of starting from this hands hip high in the downswing, to impact and through impact, the club head is going to actually start to gradually pass my hands. Now, that happens for every single golfer. Every single golfer. How many of them? Every single one. But if you're flipping, okay, and you're struggling with compression, that means you're doing this club head passing your hands motion too much, too soon. When we arrive at a good impact, you'll notice some of these models we'll put on the screen. At impact, the hands are in front of the club head, right, just kind of inside left thigh. Just post-impact, when the ball launches, you'll see the arm and club basically in one straight line down the left leg. And by about 45 degrees past impact, that club head will point basically straight back at your body or towards your left hip. That's the amount we're looking to have the club head pass our hands and release through impact. Hands inside left thigh head, right in line over the left leg, and then back at me at 45. But if you're a golfer who throws it too much too soon, and you've got this sort of look, right? The reason that that's a problem, if I put my little tool on here, so you can see, the reason that's a problem is when I have that, it changes a couple things. When I come down, if I have the club head in front of my hands, look at how much loft I have. You see that little ball pointing way up towards the sky. So that means the ball is going to go high and short. That's me turning a 9-iron into a sand wedge. If you feel like the ball doesn't go as far as it should relative to how you can swing, we got this problem. The other thing as I early release is it gets the club head as far away from me, the longest point away, back behind the ball. Meaning it moves my low point behind the ball. What does that mean? That means fat and thin contact. So why is an early release bad? I'm going to hit it too short and I'm going to have bad contact. It sounds no fun. Now what the pros do, look at the difference between the angle of the ball on the ground with this club head in front of my hands. Now watch what the pros do. As the hands get in front of the club, what happened to that angle? It went lower. That's compression. Compression is the angle. Maybe we can draw a little triangle between the bottom, the ground, and this little stick here. See that little triangle, that angle? The lower that angle is, the more you've compressed the ball. That's good. The higher that angle is, the less you've compressed the ball. That's bad. Now we're talking full swing irons. We want a lot of that. Okay? Think about it this way. What's the shot that feels the least compressed? It's the weakest. It would be like a flop shot. This would look like this, right? I'm adding a lot of loft, making a huge swing, ball goes nowhere, huge triangle. What's the shot that feels the most compressed? Driver. The loft's way down here, right? Not because of the shaft lean, because of the club. So as this triangle, this angle gets smaller, there's more compression. The only way we can do that is with shaft lean. The only way we get shaft lean, hands in front of the club head, okay? So that's sort of the relationship of what's going on and what we're trying to do. And I gave that same spiel to my lesson guy, and he really liked that, so I want to tell you that too, okay? Now, there's 3 big reasons why someone would have this flipping motion. The club head passing the hands too much too soon. Number 1 is open club face. Okay, we'll quick go over these and then I'll show you the drill. But I want you to know these so that when you're doing the drill, if you've got any of these issues, we may have to solve them, simultaneously. So number 1's open club face. Let me just give you a visual. If the club face gets too open, we look from down the line, defined by the toe behind the heel, okay? When the club face gets too open, you see how that's pointed up towards the sky, this would be square, this would be closed. When it gets too open, I'm gonna flip, watch the club head start passing my hands to square the club face. Let's show both angles there. So I can fix an open club face with a flip. I get that pointed at the target. What's the problem? Too much loft, the ball goes too short, and my low points behind the ball fats and thins. So I don't like that, okay? So we've got to be able to square the club face up, pre-impact and through impact enough to be able to not flip. That's number 1. The second thing is club path or club plane. So relative to this swing plane, let's draw a line up the shaft that's set up. If I come too far over that on the way down, I'm going to early release to help shallow out the angle of the club so it doesn't run into the ground. I had a woman with that the other day. And also, if you come too far inside and then the hands and club are going too far to the right, the club head's also going to pass the hands too much because the speed of the club's going to the right. So swing plane. I had another gentleman with the inside. I had both of those. I had 2 people back to back who had a flip. One of them was because they were out here, one of them because they were here. So we're going to teach you how to get the club right on plane. And the last part, let's just say, is body rotation. Meaning if I make a swing, the club's moving 80 miles an hour, and I've got no rotation, the speed got to go somewhere. It's going to go through the club head. And again, we want some of that, but not as much as soon as you have if you're flipping and not compressing. The root things I'm looking for, right, of why I'm flipping in the first place is the club face being too open, the shaft being off plane, and or no body rotation. So we want to hit those as we're going here. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. It's the best place to get real money sports action. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for your chance to win 100 times your cash. Join over 5 million users and sign up today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. This week on Prize Picks, I'm looking at the football season long board and selecting Tyreek Hill for more than 90 receiving yards and Dak Prescott for more than 263 passing yards. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the app today and use code ERIC to receive $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ERIC, E-R-I-C, to receive $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, the drill to be able to actually fix the flip, and I'm going to show it to you this way, we'll go face on and from this angle so you can see, is the relationship, and I'll use this little foam roller here to give you a better visual. I'm going to put that kind of roughly down the front part of my foot here. It's the relationship of where your hands are to the club, and I want you to learn how to control that on the way through. So watch from this side and this side. Let's split screen them, and we'll show some pros doing this as we go. When I come down in impact, I said that we want to be able to have, at impact, right, the hands inside the left leg, hands are in front of the club there, okay? Now this relationship that I'm trying to build, notice when I come down, as the hands are in front of the club or to the left of them from here, notice also from the down the line that the hands will also stay to the left of the club head. Whoa, what does that mean? The hands being in front of the club, shaft lean from face on, also from this angle will mean the hands are to the left of the club head. Or said different, the club head is to the right of or behind my hands here. And notice from this angle, it's to the right of on the way through. So we have to be able to learn how to get our hands left with the club head right. Here would be the bad version. Here's the flip, club head passing my hands. Now notice from here, the club head's gonna get to the left of my hands as I'm doing the flip motion. If I bring that back to impact, there's a big flip. If I bring this good back to impact, hands left of the club, club to the right, there's my good impact position. Now again, I know that that's not what's really happening. The club head is going to release and pass, but if you're flipping and not compressing, you're already doing that too much. You're not going to do more of that. We've got to do the opposite to find middle. The same way someone who slices to the right You hear me say all the time, where do they need to hit the ball? Left. You have to exaggerate the opposite of your problem to find middle. If your problem is the wrists releasing and the club head passing your hands too soon, if your problem is the wrist releasing and club head passing your hands too soon, that means you need to prevent that manually, actively force it to the point where you have the opposite, the hands in front of the club head for longer. Eric, how do I do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, okay? Because there's a specific drill we're gonna do, and there's a couple different variations. And I've learned this, I've seen guys like Steve Saracki, but here's where I want you to start with. I'd like you to have an object, if that foam roller will stay there, down the target line, roughly in line with my front of my foot. And we'll show you this from a target view so you can see this as well. And when you're coming through from face on and down the line, let's just start by getting the hands about hip high with the club somewhat hinged. Okay, like my student said, hey, I feel like to do this, I gotta have the club kind of pre-hinge a little bit. I agree, you gotta have the club loaded a little. From this spot, and you'll see this from the players, you're gonna notice the hands are gonna arc to the left through the ball to impact, and the club head is gonna stay to the right of them. So when I'm working on the way through, and you'll see this from a different angle, my hands are actually left of that, and the club head stays to the right. Okay, I just switched out the club here because that noodle was rolling away. But you'll notice when I work through from hands hip high, the hands are forward of the club head to impact, but they're working left of the object as the club stays to the right of it. And if I get into this position, this is the same position here, where the club head's in front, which is the same position here, which is good shaft lane. So I'm trying to get into a good impact position, keep my body moving, and maintain that on the way through. I'm never throwing the right wrist. But Eric, in a swing, the right wrist throws. I know. But if you're flipping too much, you're already doing that too much too soon. So you gotta feel the opposite to find middle. So how we start with this, like my student is like a 9-iron, okay, 9-iron pitching wedge. We're gonna do half swings and we're gonna go slow to the point where we can hit a shot and hold that finish. Now it took my student 3 or 4 of these to be able to get to the point where we could do it from about here to here at about 50% speed. And I'll give you an idea of how far I hit this because you can use that too. 9-iron, club down your toe line, hands are left of it, club head's to the right of it. So I'm just looking to hit like a little bit of a punch shot here. Okay, so I hit that ball probably about 80 yards in the air. Now notice my finish position. The hands are left, the club head's right. The hands are left, the club head's right. The hands are left, the club head's right, okay? My body is where? Fully turned towards the target. My left wrist is staying pretty darn flat to there, and my right wrist is staying pretty darn bent back. Now you only do this at a half swing and speed at which you can do it correctly to start with, okay? That to me felt like a half swing at like, I don't know, 50% speed. I hit a 9-iron 80 yards to give you an idea. So I'm gonna do the same thing, hinge it up on the way back. I don't wanna do this drill with no hinge because I got nothing to load. So a little bit of loading, and then I'm gonna feel like my hands go left of that toe line object with the club head to the right of it. Hands left, club head right of it. I'm gonna go a little half swing, 50% speed. Same sort of deal, hands left, club head right. I hit slightly behind that, went about 75 yards. Look at my finish position. Now when you do this, what you're gonna start to notice is the ball launching lower. It should be lower and more compressed. Why? Well, if I do it the old way, where I flip it, look at how much loft that is. That's high, short, bad contact. But if I get my handle forward like I want, hands in front, look at that. Bad, good. So the ball should feel like you're compressing it and it's going lower than normal. One more and I'm gonna give you some different variations. I'm gonna load it a little, hands left, club head right. Notice my body's fully turned. My knees, hips, and shoulders are fully facing the target. This isn't gonna work, remember big one, number 3, you're always gonna flip if you got no body turn. So if you do this and try and do it and your foot's stuck or your trail side doesn't turn, it's not gonna work. You've gotta turn, your body. So your body should be fully facing the target. Hands go left of that toe line, club head feels like it stays to the right. Little short one. Very solid there. I went a little bit faster. That ball went about probably 100 yards. Hands are left, club head is to the right. Now when I'm coming through, I've got the club in a reasonably square spot, which is what you're trying to do, reasonably square. I'm trying to keep that club face very square, meaning from this side, I'm gonna get the leading edge of the club about the same angle as my body. That'd be pretty straight. If you wanna feel like the toe's right on top of the heel, that's totally cool as well. If you're doing the drill and the ball's curving to the right, you didn't square the face enough. You either need to get that squaring earlier back here or square it a little more through the ball, toe in front of the heel. That's okay. You can twist the toe in front of the heel without the club head getting in front of the hands. I'll say that again. You can twist the toe in front of the heel without getting the club head in front of the hands. That'd be totally fine. The more right you miss, weak right, the more you're allowed to do that. Either square it earlier or square it on the way through there, okay? That'll have an effect of what happened earlier. Same thing, hands go left, club head goes right. Going slightly longer, which is what I did with my student. And every time I'm getting done, notice I'm kind of arms parallel to the ground in my follow through. Okay, club head's about even with my hands, maybe slightly above it. Notice when I do this right, the hands are left, almost even left of my hip line. The more my hand path, remember the path part, why would I flip in the first place? We want the club head to be traveling down and right to the golf ball, but not to the right through the ball. That's a feel that can help you if you slice, but the club head should travel to the ball. Notice as my hands are working left, the club head's traveling which way? Down and right. But then it's got to arc back in. If my hands and club go too far to the right, guess what's going to happen? Club head gets left of my hands. There's my flip motion. So I'm going to make sure when I get through, the hands are even almost feeling like they're left of my hip. Now, I said already, my body's rotated, right? My hands feel like they're left of my hip. They're working around, which helps keep the club on plane. And the club face is going to be pretty square. All very solid there. If the ball is going very straight, you can keep that like this, toe slightly right of the heel. If it's still curving right, you can go toe more on top of the heel, okay? If it's hooking left, you can feel like almost your reverse roll and get the toe way to the right of the heel, okay? You can feel that based on your ball flight. Now, this is the main drill I did with my student, and you could just put a club in front of your toe line like this. Now, a different variation we did with Steve Saraki, maybe we'll put up a little B-roll from that. You can also feel like if there's a wall up your heel line. Imagine this, just as an idea, is like a wall, okay? What you can feel to do something similar, it would be kind of right down your heel line, is feel your hands that they would get to the wall before the club head. Here's the club head to the wall before the hands. That'd be what? A flip motion, right? We can see that that clearly flips. But if I'm trying to get my hands left, hit the wall before the club head, that would give me the same sort of sensation, hands to the wall, club head to the right, to keep that shaft lane. Do you want that if you're flipping? Absolutely. When should I feel like I release if I'm flipping? Probably never. How do I know for sure? Two things. You've got the ball flight. When you're doing it right, it should come off compressed and lower. Okay, almost all you should like. If you're flipping, it should come off weak. It feels shitty. When you do it, you should be like, wow, I really hit that good. Okay, it should feel good, a little bit lower. So you got ball flight feedback. How do I know if I'm doing it right? And then you got video. You need to feel this to the point where at impact, you look like the model, the pro, hands forward, just past impact, right down the leg, and then 45 right back at you. What I would do is I would do this sort of like I do my gym workout, right? Which is I would do this half swing, 50% speed, every practice session, every single practice session as a warm-up. When I go to the gym, like this morning, I did chest and tris, as you can tell. Okay, I get a little pump. I don't go in and put 400 pounds on the bar on my first set or any set, but let's say I lifted 400 pounds. I go in and I warm up with just the bar, and then I put a little bit of weight on, a little bit more, and a little bit more. You eat an appetizer, and then your main meal, and then your dessert. When you practice golf, it's the same way. I would do this every time. Eric, am I gonna get too good at this? Not possible. How long should I do it? Probably forever. Do you mean to tell me that I need to do this forever to get better at it? No. Like I said, I fixed that guy 10-year flipping in 10 minutes. But to own it, you need to keep doing it. Once the bar feels too light, I put weight on. With a golf swing, that means I swing a little bit longer, a little bit faster. How much? Just a little bit. Maybe go from half swing to 3/4 and then get good at that and then go from 3/4 to full. But it could be something you practice all the time. Club head in front of hands is bad. At setup, the hands are in front. During the backswing, the club head goes more behind the hands. We want the hands in front at impact. Maintain that through impact. Learn how to punch these little 9-irons. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. With this drill, hands to the wall, hands left, club head right. That's a nice one. And maybe if Trevor lets us, we'll pop on a couple of his Instagram videos to show you too. But another cool way you could do this is to put a little shaft plane in. So you put a shaft plane in front of you like this, and with a noodle on, and you actually try and get your hands left of that with the club head sort of hitting or just to the right of it. Maybe we'll do a little B-roll version so you can see that. But all different ways, guys, to accomplish the same thing. I've repeated myself 100 times there on purpose so it hits home, because a lot of players come in and they're nervous about holding on. I heard I wasn't supposed to do this, I was supposed to throw. You are supposed to throw, but later, if you flip, you already do it too much too soon, okay? If you're overweight, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna gain more weight. Like, I'm gonna do the opposite of it. You're not gonna do more of the same thing you have, okay? Now, do you need to do this and how much? Okay, I can't tell for sure, but you will get some ball flight feedback. But I would go to cogornogolf.com. We have, I think, the best online golf coaches in the world. Okay, and I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you, if I may say so by myself. I would go in there, it's like 20% of the cost of coming to see me for an hour in person, and I think it's 80 to 90% as effective. It's an unbelievable deal. We're gonna give you exactly what you need so you can start hitting the ball really, really good. Similar to the guy that came in, he was struggling with an issue for 10 years, and we fixed it in 10 minutes. Why? Because I could look at his swing, diagnose the correct root fault, and give him a good drill to do it. Now, it's up to him to keep doing it, but if you're struggling with something for a long period of time, we could fix that and usually fix it fast. cogornogolf.com. Appreciate you watching. As always, any questions, leave them down below.